Okay. All right, we got a few participants here already. Okay. Abraham, good seeing you. Greg, good seeing you. Jorge, good seeing you. Mark, good seeing you. Matt, good seeing you. Varnell, good seeing you here. Got myself and Rodrigo here is going to be hosting tonight. We're going to be starting this thing here very shortly. I guess we're live on Facebook already. Have we already shared this thing here? Let me make sure that we shared this thing here. Okay. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm checking my phone here. I don't see live on Facebook. Good. We're good to go. Okay, good. Very good. Welcome, guys, to our Friday call. Every Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. This Friday is going to be a little different. We got myself here. My name is Neno Aquino, for those that do not know me. And Rodrigo Torres here is also part of the team. And we're going to be covering for Jerry tonight. He's out of the country. He's traveling here. So, Rodrigo, do you want to go ahead and give a little introduction here on yourself a little bit, and then I'll cover a couple of ground rules, and then I'll turn right back to you.
Absolutely. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, so I just came on the team not too long ago. I'm going to be working with every single one of you as client relations. So that just means answering questions, getting you through your current phase, getting you into your next phase. You know, if anything, if there's any snags, helping you with that. So yeah, that's basically going to be my role. I'm Jerry's aide for assisting all the clients, which I think is very necessary because there are always questions and there's always little snags and things. And it's good to have someone you can go to and get immediate direction. So I'm going to be that person. And I'm so far I've met several of you. I've met Abraham, Jorge, I believe Martin. Let's see who else I've met here. I believe that's it in the
for now.
term. Yeah, for now. But I'm going to be meeting every single one of you. So feel free to reach out. I'm actually going to leave my number and email in the chat so that you have it. But yeah, very excited to work with the whole team. It's going to be awesome.
Fantastic. So we are actually super excited to have Rodrigo on the team here. You may have received an introduction as Jerry formally introduced him to many of you guys, where Rodrigo, it is the right-hand man on our client relationship team. And his sole focus, it is to actually build a relationship with you, answer your questions as a client, help you learn more about the blueprint to financial freedom, which we're going to be talking about the book here shortly, and the tools that you're going to need to make progress, okay, and to provide basically world-class service to you as a client. Now, think of him like your Wealth DynamX wingman, right? Whatever you need, just let Rod know, and he'll find help, or he'll help, or find someone who can actually help. Now, a couple of ground rules here as we get started on every call that we do here, whether it's mine or Jerry's, is have a purpose for attending the meeting. The subject today, it is going to be how to get out of debt faster and how to make money. So what is the purpose, right? It is a Friday night, you know, if you're watching it live, even if you're watching as a replay, right? What is going to be the purpose of you watching this thing here, right? Let's say you're watching it live. Okay, you could be doing something else different, right? It's like, why not? Maybe Netflix, maybe going out, or whatever the case it is. But you chose to be here. And why is that? I want to actually take like maybe a second to ask yourself the question, like why, right? And like, good, let's go ahead and get information that's going to help me in some type of form, shape or form. Another way, it is going to look for ways to actually apply the information. Meaning I'm going to get the information, not just from a consumption standpoint. I need to get the information in order to apply so it can actually be applicable. It's like the equivalent of saying, I'll give you an example. Hey, let's say I have, a water and I'm thirsty. And then I'm like, hey, I actually need a glass of water, because that is going to be the thing that's going to be applicable to me as I'm dealing with it. Meaning I'm thirsty, I need a glass of water. I don't need to go into chemistry talking about water, although that would still be information about water, but it needs to be applicable to the situation that I'm dealing with. So if I'm thirsty, I need a glass of water. I don't need to know chemistry about the components of water. So same way for you. Okay, good. Maybe dealing with whatever the situation. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about how to get out of debt faster and how to make money, right? That being the case, let's go ahead and prop the ears to have that filter to apply in that sense. Also, ask questions. We're going to be taking your questions here and answering towards the end of the call here, and even throughout the call. If I do say something that you do not understand, we're going to be, hey, let's go ahead and make sure that it is fully understood. Because the only reason why we tend to give up on things is on a subject whenever we come across words or definitions that we do not fully understand. Now, Jerry has shared this multiple times, and then I invite you to look at it from that viewpoint as well, is that if there's something that I don't understand, like finances, it is not difficult. It is math. What is difficult, what can be tricky, quote unquote, it is the definition of words. And as you start to study the financial world, you start to see that that is done on purpose. What happens whenever you and I actually jump into a subject that we don't understand? I don't know about you, but I do know that for me, before I knew about this piece of information, like not knowing how to clear up words, I would come across a subject, I'm like, oh man, like this is too hard. And like slowly be retreating. The thing that I was so adamant about going for to actually accomplish, to actually have so much vigor to get the thing, to get that knowledge, I come across, I don't understand, I slowly go backwards, right? So if there's something, bottom line, something you don't understand, let us know. Let me know. We're going to make sure that it is fully understood here. Also, be a producer, not a consumer, right? Do not, meaning if this is not for you, it's not for you. If like, don't be negative. I have yet to see a person jump on a live call on a Friday night about finances and be negative. Like, wow, nothing else better to do. But that's not our crew here. That's not our people. Our people were aiming for freedom. Like Friday night, I know that you guys want something better for yourselves. That's why you guys are here. Also, last thing here, share if this helps you. Okay, the bottom line is that imagine if a bunch of good people like you and I actually had the proper knowledge of information, knew how to apply this, knew how to not be at the effect of banks, knew how to not be at the effect of Wall Street, right? Where we're basically not really knowing what to do. Imagine being in a situation where it's a situation like many of us have experienced over the past 2 years, where we are forced to be shut down our businesses and we do not know how to become more prosperous within that time frame. Imagine if we have the proper know-how that did not allow us to go into effect, meaning submitting ourselves into being dependent upon the situation. How different would that be? The tide would we be able to shift. Now, with that being said, with this tide, in order to shift this tide, I'm going to turn over the call to Rodrigo, because he's actually going to be talking about the proper mindset and the viewpoint necessary and required in order for the person to actually embark this journey, right? It does take a different viewpoint. The whatever information that I am operating with leads to how I think, that leads to how I feel, that leads to my behavior. And this is something that I personally had to have confronted throughout the past couple of years as I wanted to improve. If I have any kind of emotional attachment to an information that does not necessarily support where I'm trying to go, it's not applicable. It's not good. I cannot have an emotional attachment to an idea that it is not helpful to me. So what is this idea? Financial freedom. In case you haven't figured it out, that's the theme here tonight. Financial freedom, okay? So any kind of idea that is hindering me to get here, I need to let go of that, right? And Rodrigo is gonna go ahead and touch up on the mindset required for that. Go ahead, Rod.
Thank you, yeah. Okay, totally, Neno, thank you very much for that. That was awesome. And I will say this, we all know that math does not have emotions. It's just what it is. And so when we're talking about getting out of debt, it's a very mathematical equation that goes into building wealth. And so the thing I wanted to talk about is from personal experience, it is a mindset that needs to be adopted. And I think everyone would agree with that. You think the money exists, but it doesn't. It seems like it exists, but it's not there. And it's a trap. I'm going to give you a very good analogy. It's like somebody who's trying to get healthy or who's trying to get fit and is on a diet of sugar and pastries and isn't exercising. It's like the poison that basically does not allow you to progress on the path to wealth, right? And it's the same thing with wealth as it is with health and fitness. And it takes two things. It takes persistence and it takes the discipline to carry through those steps. And I just spoke to somebody today. It wasn't a client, it was someone completely different who was telling me his bright idea of borrowing a ton of money in order to invest in cars so that he could become wealthy, right? And it's funny because I asked him, how long has he been doing this process of borrowing money, going into debt to then somehow get out of debt? And he's been doing it for 10 years. So I was able to introduce this concept from Wealth DynamX from the Blueprint book, which is very clearly lays out how to get out of debt. The strategies are there. But the main thing that I wanted to cover was the mentality of recognizing that the debt is it's like a poison, it's like a sugar, it's the pastries that don't allow you to have the gain, because life is designed to the successful and the people who make it. It's designed to be hard, but when you do it, it's amazing. Just like fitness, you get to the other side, it's amazing. There's tons of reward. There's abundance. It's survival. It feels amazing. And then there's no turning back. So I experienced this on my own journey of just persisting through with discipline. It's the credit cards yelling at you to use it. The banks are saying, take our money, use it. There's so many ways to go into debt. But the thing to do is to recognize that those are all traps and just get out of that. And then you will start to accelerate your wealth like you've never experienced before. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to go over. And I do want, for anyone who is on this call or who's listening to this, who is currently in the phase of getting out of debt, there's a few other pointers I would like to go over with you on a one-on-one call, because I do have some good tips on that. But it includes ways to earn more money and to accelerate your income. That's always part of it. In addition to just getting into the good habits of no longer going into debt. But yeah, I did want to just reach out to everyone and say, call me, email me. Let's get on a one-on-one call at some point this following week if you are struggling with debt. And we're going to take care of that. We're going to go through these exact steps, and we're going to make sure you're doing the exact right things. And I'm here to advise you on that. So yeah, that's the basic thing. I left my number, I left my email on the chat, and I'll also send them out individually to each person. But yeah, that's what I had, Neno.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you.
Another thing that I want to mention, right, is that if you're joining for the first time here, here's the book, right, that has laid out exactly what Rodrigo is talking about. It is the Blueprint to Financial Freedom book. It lays out the sequence of steps that is going to be helping an individual actually get from wherever they are to eventually becoming financially free. Now, if you get the book, or not if, when you get the book, right, you can actually, you don't even need us. You can get the book and go apply it. Like Jerry wrote it to literally help you. Like, hey, you don't want to talk to us? No problem. Here's the book, right? Go ahead and apply. And some people have done it, but along the way, they're like, you know what? It's like building a house. Imagine building a house, and I'm one single guy doing that, and I don't have a team. You know, like I may have a blueprint, I may have a guideline, but like, what if I don't have all the tools? Here, it's like you come in, you get the book, right? Come in, you're going to talk to me. By the way, there's Michael Kerrigan here and Robert, who is going to be reaching out to some of you guys as well to introduce himself. So don't be weird, respond back to him, right? If you have an interest, if you like to get some help, he's going to be reaching out to you. Okay, like to introduce himself. Like if you like to set up a call, let's set up a call with myself or even with Michael. And then eventually, whenever you do come in, guess what? Like, I'm going to find out, okay, find out about you. Let's find out your goals. Let's find out what it is that you're trying to do. And let's determine, can we actually help you? Right? Well, it's just a conversation. And if we can help you, fantastic. Let me go ahead and show it to you. If I cannot help, I'll be the very first one to say, hey, I don't want to waste your time. Right? But let's say that you do need help and we are actually able to help you. Now we have a team. Now, not just myself. Now we're going to be going to Rodrigo. And also we have Jerry along the way. And then like not even talking about Robert and then Ariane and Lexi and everybody else here on the team, right? So we're talking about a team here. Now, with that being said, again, why do you want to get out of debt? Have you asked yourself that question? I mean, it could be like, pretty self-explanatory, right? I mean, like, who likes being in debt? But what is that really? Being in debt, what is that? What is the experience of being in debt like? Like there's like the phrase, and you may know this, right, Rod? Like that the debt is slave to the lender, or so the borrower is slave to the lender, right? It's like basically the bottom line is that the person is experiencing a less level of freedom, of financial freedom. Now, what does that mean? Freedom. And that's like the first chapter here in the book that Jerry talks about wealth. Freedom at its root etymology refers to the state of complete free will and even a state of deliverance from the opposite. What is the opposite? Bondage, slavery, enforcement. So here's the question. If I'm not financially free, what am I? I'll say that again. If I'm not financially free, what am I? You would beg to say, like, if I'm not financially free, to a degree or another, I am experiencing a level of slavery, a level of bondage. And that is one of the main reasons why, whether we're clearly looking to get out of debt because we want to be more free, right? But who wants to be in the slave? Who wants to be in the slave? It's like, oh man, like, paycheck to paycheck. And statistics shows us what 80% of America live in paycheck to paycheck, right? This is not even like an opinion. Like, this is not even just what I think or what Rod thinks or what Jared. This is like, statistically speaking, this is what's currently happening. So, by the way, that's the game that we want to play, to help you becoming financially free. Good. Now, that's a very good, great, and dandy idea. But mathematically speaking, what does that mean? That means here that we have from the company, right? Passive income that is going to be greater than my savings expenses, and taxes. Now, I need to take that into consideration. Now, here comes the different moving particles of the game. Like, it's like a game. If I don't know how to play the games, like, yeah, I'm going to make money and I'm going to, I just need to earn X amount of dollars in order for me to become financially free. And here comes inflation, like a sucker punch, boom, because I don't know how that works, right? I need to have enough passive income that it is going to be greater than my savings, expenses, and taxes. That needs to be taken into account. And that needs to be on an ongoing operating basis, the savings percentage. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and share with you here what is an investment. Okay. Now, an investment, and I'm going to type it up here for you guys. Let me know. Good. An investment. So, investing. So it is to acquire something that will, let me make this bigger. Potentially, that will offer potentially profitable returns as interest, income, or appreciation in value. That's what invest is. Now, the root word of invest, it means to clothe my capital, right? So, to clothe my capital. So just like I have clothes on, hopefully just like you have clothes on, right? On the other side of the screen. But what does that mean, right? Like, so whenever we take a look at clothes, and this is going to be a key factor to understand, okay? Because that, when we take a look from a functionality standpoint, that is an investment. It has the three major components that an investment possesses, which I'm going to dive in here. Let's go back to the investing, right? What does that mean? To clothe my capital. So whenever I'm clothing myself, whenever you're clothing yourself, a couple questions to ask. One, do I like it? If you're a client, I may have shared this with you already whenever you came in as a client, right? So I write it down here. Good. Do I like it? Put all caps. Do I like it? Do I understand? Do I understand it? Does it fit me? Does it align with the occasion that I'm going? Right? Do I like it? Do I understand? Does it fit me? Does it align with the occasion that I'm going? So, what's the occasion that we're trying to accomplish? Occasion would be passive income, greater than my savings, expenses, and taxes. That's the occasion. So, and we can take a look at a couple of ideas, right? A person, whenever I see from time to time, whenever I'm speaking with a person, with a client, they may have this idea like, hey, I want to be able to invest. And there's a keyword that I want to share with you guys. It is indoctrinate, right? Now, what does that mean? I'm going to actually pull it up here for you guys as well. So indoctrinate, it is to teach a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. So imagine me accepting ideas about money that I don't even question anymore. And we are indoctrinated in something. But statistics shows that what? That statistics shows that 80% of Americans is not winning with this, right? So we are indoctrinated with what? With stats say it's not doing so well. Now you may be, right, which is fantastic, but eventually how we get to this, to the end goal, which would ideally becoming financially free. So, and that's where the education would be coming in. Why? Because I will need to be indoctrinated. When I hear that word, it's like a little heavy for you. What used to be heavy, right? But the bottom line is that we are indoctrinated with something. I'm either indoctrinated with the idea that I need to be fit or careless or whatever it is that I'm operating with. But however, the physical body shows up, it is a compilation of my set of ideas and beliefs that has showed up to today. Same thing with finances. And that's the thing that I was mentioning in the beginning of the call. If are those the people who are winning with money, if they are winning with money, what is it that they're doing? What is it, the set of information that they're operating with, right? Again, what is this? Indoctrinate, to teach a person or a group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically, right? And there's a similar words here. It says brainwash, propagandize, re-educate, persuade. Now, it is the equivalent of me saying, hey, this is money. This is currency. And funny things that Jerry shared with a video. It was quite funny. A couple of weeks ago of a group in, I think it was out of all states, California. There was a guy walking around with an ounce of gold and $20. And he would come up to the person and say, hey, I'm giving this to you. This is an ounce of gold, $20. Which one do you prefer? And every single person picked the $20, not knowing that an ounce of gold is what? Worth $2,000, right? This is like the kind of indoctrination that we as a people are operating with. Before back then, right? Whenever the dollar used to be backed by gold, like it used to be a thing that, okay, that's like, well, at least will be somewhat real to people. But since 1971, what is this? Might as well be monopoly money. I'm laughing here because I mean, it's so sad, but it's like, I have to laugh about it. When I came across this information, it literally threw me into apathy. Like, I was like, like I was, the thing that I was believing throughout my entire life, it's not true. And I actually want to bring you, Rod, back into this scenario here, because I have shared this with you whenever you were a client, right?
Yeah, I mean,
idea. So do you want to go ahead and touch on the viewpoint?
Yeah, I definitely
you came in as a client.
Yeah, so this was back in August, but I had it completely backwards. It was crazy because you think that money is the digits in your bank account, right? And you don't really understand really much about financial literacy. And I remember reading the book Blueprint, right? And it blew my mind because you do think that certain things like the $20 bill example versus the gold example, it really makes you understand how to build a foundation to wealth. And it really starts with the financial literacy and understanding what wealth actually is, and what every millionaire and every person who has built wealth, they always start with the same pillars, which is understanding what wealth is, understanding what money is, understanding the difference between digits in the bank account and assets and liabilities and these very important factors. But then also understanding, like we're talking about with getting out of debt, that's like having a house that has no cement. It's not secured into the ground. It's like something flimsy like that, right? Because you can't build wealth with it. So yeah, I was very glad that you reached out to me, because as soon as I read this book, it changed my entire perception. And I had read a lot of books on the subject of wealth, but this really put that foundation there that you need to propel into the proper direction. So yeah, that was really awesome.
Okay, well,
I think we have a question.
Say that again.
I think there's a question for us.
Let me see here. We'll probably let's see question. I don't see any questions here so far, but we'll probably be, if you, by the way, if you do have a question, go ahead and drop them on the chat, anything related to it. Haven't really gone into too much into a deep subject here yet. But if I did say something that you did not fully understand, please do let me know. So I do want to go ahead and dive into more of the tools, right? How can we actually make this happen? Now we have gone into the mindset. Okay, good. We got to understand the mindset. I cannot have an emotional attachment to a set of ideal beliefs that are not useful to me. And how do I know they're not useful to me? Because of the results that they bring. If I'm eating ice cream, right? That's my item, right? Like I love ice cream. And if it's like giving me my six pack, like I got to get rid of it, right? So if I'm operating with a set of beliefs, about money, because we are, and it's not like there's something that might be off, right? And I do want to address on this right here. Let me go ahead and go back to the whiteboard. Okay, let me go ahead and clear this, which is the triangle of wealth. Three major components that need to be an ongoing in order for me to accomplish wealth. First, I got to earn. Then I must save what I have earned so that I can invest what I have saved. And again, I'm going to ask the question as a reminder. What is the game? What are we trying to accomplish? What's the ideal scene? Because we need to determine, right? I'm going to go back to the investing part here in a second. It is passive income. First, I got to earn so that I can save, so that I can invest. Ideally speaking, whenever I am saving, does not mean I'm going to start there. Right? Most people cannot even start there. Most people, 60% of America don't even have over $1,000 in their savings account in case of an emergency, unplanned emergency, so much less being able to save 40% of their income. So I am going to be saving ideally, right? That's the ideal scenario. The analogy that I like to say with my clients, it is as follows. Hey, we're going to be saving, right? The ideal scenario, moving towards the 40%. But let's say I haven't worked out in 5 years. I've been a couch potato for 5 years. And I ask you, hey, go run 6 miles. I'm like, dude, if you're a little cuckoo like me, like I may be able to do once, right? But like, what is the realistic expectation of that happening on an ongoing basis? Probably the following day and, the subsequent weeks, I'm not going to be able to because I'm going to be so sore because I've been out of shape for 5 years, right? Same thing with this. There could be a month that, hey, I save 40%, but like, I could be up to my neck. So the point is, if I say, hey, how about we take a walk around the block? Okay. And we're going to be gradually increasing. And that's one of the key things here, which I'm going to tie it to paying off debt using the sacred account, which I'm going to show it to you here in a second, but I do want to show you the purpose of why that's the case, which goes back to the very first thing that I mentioned at the beginning of the call. Why do I want to get rid of debt? Us here, the game that we're playing, it is freedom. And what does that mean, freedom, right? That means I am free in a complete state of free will. And if I'm not free, what am I? To a degree or another, I am in bondage. I'm in enslavement, financially speaking, right? If I have an obligation with the debt, with the collector that I need to be giving my money either weekly or monthly, this is not even mine. By the time it comes in, it goes out. Why? Because I'm in debt. If I'm in debt, how am I going to save? Right? It goes all back to that. So it goes back to the thinking. I need to be thinking properly in order to do this. So I'm going to be saving in 3 major places. I'm going to be saving in precious metals, gold and silver. I'm going to be saving in life insurance, AKA the sacred account, and then a home equity line of credit, which we're not going to touch so much into those. This whole strategy is here on the book. Okay. Just as an FYI, I'm going to basically bring it down all the way to the gradient that we can do that we can apply today. Right. By the end of this call, I want you to have enough information, confidence, and certainty on a path that it is applicable. to you, even if you decide not to talk to us tomorrow. It is the kind of information that if you apply it, you will bring you a greater level of what, of freedom, financial freedom. That's the game that we're playing here. Okay. So bottom line is, now here's the percentages. It is 5 to 10% here, ideally. 15 to 25% into life insurance, and then the remaining amount into the HELOC. I do want to show you a graph, right? Just so it's, now where is it at? Okay, good, here it is. This is also inside the book. This is the savings rate, right? This is called the 40% rule, okay? It is where ideally we're saving 40% of the pre-tax income. This is all inside the book, by the way, right? This is a graph here showing by decades the different percentage of people that saved up, being the top 1% saving 40%, people in the top 10% of wealth saving 30%, almost 30%, right? And the bottom 90% saving very minimal. Now, again, goes back to what? To the thinking and behavior. And I got to ask myself the question, what game do I want to play? Because if that's not my game, I mean, I'll be surprised that you're into this call this long.
No, I will share. Go
ahead.
On that. I will share one thing on that. This is just something that I have found works, and it's very interesting. You kind of put your mindset into your savings is just like another bill. You have to think about it that way, or you won't save, right? You have to think about it as something that you have to do. You're committed to do it. And just like you won't not pay your phone bill, or you won't not pay your rent, it's the same thing with savings. It requires that kind of mindset of it's something I have to do, and nothing's going to happen. You're going to still be living and breathing and operating and surviving. But if you do that consistently, you will achieve the financial freedom and you will come out of debt. I just wanted to share that because I started doing that way back, and it was amazing. It worked like a charm.
Absolutely. And I want to validate your point and on basically segue to the next subject, which is handling debt, right? This is a forced savings plan. The reason why you and I go into debt is not the debt. It is lack of savings. I'm going to say that again. The reason why we go into debt, it is not because of the debt. The debt is a symptom. The lack of savings, it is the root issue. So if we want to address the debt issue, first, we need to address the root issue that led me into going into debt, which is lack of savings. Therefore, I am going to be forcing myself to save. Now, I'm going to start on a gradient, right? Ideally, I'm going to be starting on a gradient. As I did mention it to you, is a debt it is an investment. To you and I, might not be, unless you're using the secret account, right? But to the common person, that is not an investment. But to a bank, it is, right? To the credit card company, it is. To the lender, because it has the three major components that an investment possesses, which is the principal, whatever amount that I owe. It has cash flow, which is the minimum payments that I am required to pay towards the debt. And it also has what? It has interest, right? And here comes the mindset again. It's almost, I can already hear people say, hey, why not just pay this, use this to pay, to get rid of debt, which you could. But what do the wealthy do? I'm glad you asked because I'm going to show it to you, right? So let's say that I do use the cash to pay debt, right? Guess what? I pay this. This is gone. I never get to see it again. Now, the problem is it can never be used for a future better opportunity. Now, let's dive into the sacred accounts. Okay. Now, the sacred account, it works kind of like a savings account, okay? So the technical term, just so you have it, if we have any nerds watching this, it is called a high early cash value dividend paying whole life insurance policy, okay? By the way, we have a course on this. You know, we have more videos. I want to be able to paint the picture that you have what? Applicable data. I don't want to give you the chemistry equation on water. I want to give you a glass of water so you can drink. Okay, we can go into the technicalities of it. It would be great for taking a chemistry test. I want you to have data that you can apply it. The glass of water, right? Bottom line. So this is how it works. I put $1 inside this account. This money, it is going to be growing at a 3 to 5% annual growth compounded interest rate. That is if I put $1, if I put $10, or if I put 100, whatever the amount is. I'm going to have access to 70 to 90% of it immediately. And I'm going to stop right here for a second, which I'm going to be asking you, okay, where do most people save nowadays? Where do you save, right? If you're coming across this for the first time, most people save in what? In the bank, in a 401k, or in a retirement account, right? So what would be a place that we can actually put money that has what? The tax protection of a retirement plan. It has the compounding growth of a 401k, and it has the liquidity and access of a bank. Look no more. You found it, the sacred account, right? I put this $100 inside this account. Now this money is going to be growing at 3 to 5% annual growth compound interest rate, tax-free. And I have access to 70 to 90% of this money. So there's some of the insurance companies that we work with, right? Let's just pick one of them. Let's just say it is Guardian, for example. This is how it works. I put the money inside the account. Now, let's just say that I qualify for 75%. I have access to 75% of this money, my money, which in this scenario would be $75. Now, anytime that you and I are going to be receiving interest from an investment, who usually wants a cut of the pie? Do you remember me asking you this question, Rod? Who wants a cut of the pie? Do you remember? Our friends from the I, the R, and the S. You're gonna say, hey, you're doing so good. Where's my share? So I'm being funny here again, right? Because it's kind of like, I mean, imagine that, an entity that wants to cut the pie without not doing anything, right? Imagine a person being forcing you to give up a piece of your money that you work for. It goes back to the game, right? Freedom. If I'm forced to pay something that I'm voluntarily, I'm not going to pay, right? I'll pay it because if I don't, to a degree or another, right, I'm in enslavement, financially speaking, right? I'm using strong words here. But I want to invite you to look at it. Is that actually happening? And here's something else. The word indoctrination. Do I believe that needs to be the case? Right? If I go into like defense, but no, it needs to be that way. How could it not be? Could it be any different? Have I thought about that? So that's something that to raise the question, right? Because it all depends. What's my goal? If my goal it is not to become financially free, but like the wrong webinar, right? But if that's the goal, good. Then whatever ideas that I have about money, I cannot have an emotional attachment to it. It comes down to the bottom line: is it applicable? Is it going to lead me closer to my goal? And again, I'm not saying do not do anything, do not do things that are immoral or illegal. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying like, if it's applicable and somebody else, the wealthy, they're using this piece of information, I cannot have an attachment to a set of ideas that either I grew up with because I was indoctrinated with from marketing, right? So it's a funny thing, right? Whenever we grow up, like, hey, you put your money in a piggy bank. I had a piggy bank when I was a kid. I was like so happy. I put in like my little coins there, right? Like just this indoctrination to put money there. And again, is there an alternative, right? So we have a couple different options. Here's the bottom line, right? So we're talking about paying off debt. We're talking about the sacred account where we want to get money, right, from currency where this has no value, actually has a negative rate of return. Cash, from a functionality standpoint, it has a cost due to what? Our friends from the Federal Reserve Bank, right? By them printing money, it causes this thing to go down in value. The word currency, like a current, is going down in value. So therefore, this, from a functionality standpoint, has a cost. And the CPI, right, the Consumer Price Index, we're looking at what, 8%? So that means if I have like 8.5, so if I have money sitting in the bank, it's costing me negatively 8 to 8.5%. Meaning I'm losing money. My purchasing power is going down. So the very first thing I need to understand is this, right? What is the best investment for inflation, right? Imagine like first we got to define what the goal. We got to define all of this to bring it down to understand how the rules of the game is being played so it can actually apply, because I could actually be one of the biggest hindrances to an investment. As an investment, it is composed with three major things. It has the asset in itself that it is producing, whatever it is going to be producing. That's just math. That is going to be the numbers. Then there's the managing party that is managing the asset. And there's me, the investor. And if I don't know how to measure the function, the purpose, I am the biggest risk on an investment. And as I mentioned to you, right, well, here we have a debt. I'm going to give you an example here. Let's go ahead and put it here as an example. Let's say we have debt. Let's say we have, let's say $3,500 in debt in a credit card. $3,500 in debt. And then let's say it is what, around $125 in payment. Let's call it 14%. Right? I could get this thing here and pay the debt. Boom, gone. But the problem is now this is gone, right? And then I'm right back into square zero. Here's another point that I actually learned a couple of years ago. Before I get out of debt, sure, I got having the right tools, doing all of this. First, I need to make a decision to stop spending money that I do not have. As simple as that sounds, I'm going to repeat it again. In order for me to get out of debt, first, I need to make a decision to quit spending more than what I make. To spend money that I don't have. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow, like I'm trying to get out of debt. But if I continue putting stuff on the credit card, it's that simple, but it just hit me. I'm like, it's decision, like no more. Good, now that's in place. Now let me go do the things that I need to do. And it's the same thing for wealth, right? If I want to become financially free, I need to make the decision. And the decision is whatever viewpoints, ideas that I have been operating with, it has led me to where I'm at today. So if I'm going to be making a decision to become wealthy, that means I would have to abide by the principle, by the indoctrination that the wealthy are operating with, right? Example, let's say that I'm saving $500 a month. Okay, and then to this point here, I'm saving $500 a month up to the point that I have enough money saved up inside my account to borrow this to be getting out of debt. So let's say that I have, $5,000 inside my account. I have saved up, fantastic. Now I'm going to take money out and I'm going to get rid of this. Gone. So a couple of things are going to happen here. One, my debt is gone. Two, I get rid of the future interest. Three, I am going to free up this $125. And my 5,000 continues to earn 3 to 5%. I literally became the bank in the process. I am going to get this 125. I'm now going to be repaying myself back. Just like I am the bank. And by doing this, by the end of this deal here, not only am I debt free, but I also going to have money saved up that will prevent me from ever getting into debt again. And I'll break down a little further here for you as I was explaining to this on the sacred account. And I'll do a quick recap here for you guys, and then we'll open up for questions. I put money in this account, and then we'll obviously touch up on the idea of the best investment, right? Do it in inflation and how to make money paying off the debt. I put money inside the account. Good. I pick that number, right? So let's say it is 100, 500, whatever the number is. I earn 3 to 5%. I earn interest on this. So a couple different ways. If I earn interest, usually our friends from the IRS are going to try to ask for a cut of the pie. In order to avoid them, one of the ways that we can avoid them is we're going to basically take a loan against ourselves. If I withdraw this money, now I could be subject, right? If I have money in the bank, I'm subject to taxation now. But if I take a loan, this is how it works. I give my money to the insurance company. Now they're going to give me, let's say $75 or 75% of my money, which in this scenario would be $75. My money, my $100 never left my account, which means I'm still earning 3 to 5. Right? I put money inside the account. I earn 3 to 5%. I take money out as a loan. I put this money now to work. Now, this can be right, either paying off debt, investing, and accumulating cash. That's going to be the 3 major functions of using a sacred account. And guess what? By me doing this, the snowball of debt, right? Idea here, we're going to line up all the debts, smallest to largest. We're going to line them up. And let's say that my following debt, it is, let's call it 4,800. And then 150, oops, in payment. And then 18%. Now I'm saving at a faster rate. I'm going to get, whenever I have accumulated enough, I get rid of this. I eliminate this debt, right? I'm going to eliminate the interest rate, and I'm going to be saving an additional 150. Remember how Rodrigo and I were talking a little bit ago about this being a forced savings plan? Now I start with an amount. I forced myself to start with an amount. I start using this account to be paying off my debt. Incrementally, I start freeing up cash flow by purchasing my debt. From a functionality standpoint, I'm not just paying my debt. I am buying this asset that belongs to a bank. I'm buying the asset, and now I'm going to free up the cash flow, and I'm going to repay myself along the process here. Okay, very good. So, and it comes down to this. What ideas do I have? I was actually speaking with a client today, right? It goes back to indoctrination. This particular client has money in a 401k, and we're trying to do like what's called a rollover. Okay, a rollover to do a self-directed program. It's a little different, right? Basically, we're trying to get out of Wall Street. Now, whenever you get the book, you're going to understand who they are in the scheme of things, along with banks. Is like the person who's kind of like behind the scenes forcing, just basically, let's just say they're not very good, very, very good to us, right? So bottom line, this guy had money there, and I'm sharing with him like, okay, good. This is what the self-directed program is going to help you with. And by the set of beliefs that he has about the 401k, he was somewhat resistant to the idea of getting the money out of Wall Street. Think about this, right? Now I'm going to give you the data on who they are. In what, 19, here it is, right? 19th, I want to remember the specific year, 1913, I want to say, whenever we had the SEC come in. Good, 1929. So 1933 was when the Securities Exchange Act came into existence, right? We had the Great Depression that happened. After much investigation, it was basically deemed that Wall Street basically caused that on purpose. Right now we have the Securities Exchange Commission being done in place. What is that? Now we're going to basically regulate all the securities along the place here to make sure they're the American investor, your everyday person, it is protected, right? So these are the kind of individuals that we're dealing with. The people that actually cause the problem. Now, the same person there now gets put in the chairman of the board for the Securities Exchange Commission in order to protect, quote unquote, the everyday person. So this is what's happening. And if I am like holding on, right, to the idea, indoctrinated with a set of beliefs, I'm going to be resistant to this thing. So going back, what is the best investment due to inflation? Sure, let's get rid of debt. Sure, let's put money in the sacred account. Sure, let's go ahead and put, use precious metals as a store of value. Sure, let's put money in a private lending deal. Let's do all that. But the bottom line is, do I know how things work? What is the biggest risk along the process here? It's going to be me as an investor, because if I don't understand the purpose, how to measure or the function of the investment, I am the biggest risk along the process here. So it's almost 11. I can get pretty carried away here. Is there anything you want to add, Rod, to this? I'm going to check it out, see if we have any questions here along the process.
No, just if you haven't gotten the book yet, highly recommend reading it. Blueprint to Financial Freedom, because that will explain everything that Neno talked about. It's phenomenal reading. You learn within 6 hours of reading, you feel very financially literate. Most of you, I'm pretty sure, have read it. But if you're on this call and you haven't, I highly recommend getting it right after this. And for those who are working on phase 0, once again, just reach out to me after this and we'll set up an appointment.
Okay, very good. So let me see here. I'm trying to check the live to see if there's any questions on Facebook.
And everyone on this call gets tacos on me next time we meet. We're showing up for the Latin brothers.
That's right. That's right. So Tyler made a comment.
Everyone on this call gets tacos on me next time we meet.
So let me see.
We're
here.
showing up for the Latin brothers.
That's right. Tyler made a comment. Okay, good. So I just muted the Facebook live. So let me see here. There's a lot going on here on Facebook.
That was a hot item, tacos. People want tacos.
Okay, Andrew, Tyler, hello, Daniel. Good seeing you guys. Good seeing you, Tyler. Good seeing you, Maya, Jackson. Good, Eric, Jerry. Said, this is so strange watching and being in the comments. You guys are crushing it. Good job. Thanks, Jerry. You taught us well. Jerry, Eric Whitaker, it said, how the show feel on the other foot supporting all the Wealth DynamX peeps, good paycheck to paychecks, the equivalent of a farmer planting and harvesting only enough to barely get through the next season, no margin for error, and one of the riskiest ways to live. That is a very good point that Jerry is bringing it up here. Now, one of the ways to actually ensure freedom is what? Abundance. Flourishing and prospering, making sure that I produce more than what I actually need, not only for myself, but for those around me, which goes back to the subject of responsibility. I actually have been talking about here, there's a recent, I just got done with the biography of Andrew Carnegie, talking about responsibility, that being a big thing. And one of the things that we actually encourage you to do is to share this information, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, imagine if we shift the tide with a bunch of good people having the proper knowledge about money, having the proper idea, having the proper mindset, having the proper wherewithal, and the push to make things change. We're not so much at the effect of things. Now, by not that being the case, it puts us what? In a bit of a constraint, right? Let me see here, Michael here. I only saw, let's see, a question here from recording. Okay, good. Let me go back to Facebook here. Say Garen, love seeing you here, buddy. Let me see here. Tyler, okay, good. Brianna, okay, good. Eric, viewing this as a game completely changed. Let me see. Eric says, viewing this as a game completely changed my internal stress levels. I was placing on myself over every flow of income I have. Much easier to handle from that viewpoint as a competitive person. Very good. And Jean says, I use this exact method to pay off all my credit card debts. I have none, and I have a ton, and I had a ton when it started. I remember working with Jean back whenever we were still in Alaska. So good job, Jean, for sticking it through, which goes back to the thing that Rod talked about, the persistence. Gotta persist along the process. Good, I have the information, right? And then I'm going to actually put it into application. And this was one of the things that kind of helped me along the way. Whenever I was, if you don't know the story, I was a client first with Jerry, and he's like, "Hey, dude, this is not a get rich quick thing. This is a get rich for sure." I'm like, "Okay, like not that smart, but like, you know, if I go step by step, I can get there. Okay, good. By all means, let's do it, right? I know I'm persistent, and I know I can follow instructions. So let's roll, right? So I want to validate one Gene saying that, two Rod talking about that in the beginning of the call, and three, good. Here we are, right? Making sure that having the actual product along the way. So let me see here for everyone. Let me see. Only saw. Let's see your message recording on. I don't see any additional questions here. Let me go back to Facebook one more time. So I don't see anything else. Lauren, good seeing you here. Okay, good. Michael. Okay, good. Well, let me see. I'm going to bring Lauren on the call here because she just got the book. And let me see if she has any questions or feedback. I just want to see. Lauren, how do I make this? Unmute this person, Lauren. I don't know. I don't know if I have that option. Rob, I don't know if you can make her unmute. I don't know if I have that option to do that here on my end.
I'm checking.
No worries. You know, it might be late here as well. There for her. But fantastic. We're going to be wrapping it up here, guys. Again, I want to go ahead and encourage you to get the book. It is the Blueprint to Financial Freedom book. In order to get this book, you may go to jerryfetta.com/B2F. Again, jerryfetta.com/B2F. We're going to be helping you along the process here. And think about this. Would you actually build a house with one single person and without a plan? We have a team. There's the plan. You can actually get the plan and try to apply yourself, which is not a problem. But if you want to help, reach out, okay? And I'll be seeing you guys next time.